Hello, and welcome to the Stupid Sequels podcast, where we find truly terrible movies and give them all the attention they don't deserve. Each episode will discuss exactly what made such a horrible sequel, from casting to budget to just plain bad writing. While we all love a great movie, there's something just a little more fun about watching a seriously stupid sequel. Now, while there are plenty of awful sequels out there, we have a few guidelines about the kind of movies we'll be reviewing here. We're talking about direct-to-video, made-for-TV, never appeared in a theater sequels. The ones the studios gave up on before they even started. This week, my guest is Alex Rizal. He might sound a little familiar. And we will be discussing Lion King 1.5, the sequel, midquel, sequel to The Lion King. Hello.
Hey.
That's right, guys. 2 in a row. It's a combination of Chelsea is lazy and we live together now. So, He's been told that he's pretty much going to be my Ripcord podcast guest. So expect to hear a lot of him. Don't like it? Fight me.
It's a bad idea. Don't fight her.
So yeah, he knows. So yes, I'm so sorry we had to skip August, but we moved from our respective apartments into our house. It's a very nice house.
Renting a house. We're not full-grown adults yet.
Why are you trying to roast me on my own podcast?
I just wanted to be clear.
Let them think I'm grown.
Okay.
Yeah, we're renting it. But yeah, we both got rid of our apartments. He got a new job. We both had family shit go down. It's been a rough month. So I skipped August. And this is September's episode. And it's late. Deal. Life happened. And I had to do shit.
The first weekend was a holiday weekend, and the first day of the month was the Saturday supposed to go up or whatever.
Yeah, it was just, I didn't actually move until August 21st. I had to push my move-in day. It's been hell, guys. Be grateful I came back to it at all.
Lee.
That's the sound of a kitty cat.
It's our lion.
It is. We have 2 of them. Hi, Lee.
Come here.
Get up.
Come on.
Get up on your couch.
There you go.
Talk to the microphone. That is the kind of a kitty cat sniffing a microphone. He's very interested by all of the wires. Oh, we're just watching a cat now. This is very fun for our audio listeners.
I'm waiting for him to flop down. I know it's coming.
Watching a silent cat. Do it. Flop, Lee. 'Tis your birthright.
Yeah.
I'm going to leave all of this in so that you guys can revel in the sound of a cat discovering podcasting equipment and wrapping himself in all of the wires.
That's how he does.
It is how he do.
If he's not on top of a wire, he can't sleep comfortably.
Yep. All right. So he wanted to do Lion King 1.5 last time.
Yes.
But we had just done Lion King 2. So I was like, it's too close.
Yep.
But then I'm like, you're being my Ripcord podcast guest, so we're going to do Lion King 1.5.
Yeah, plus being busy and all. Helped with research.
Yeah, and we watched the first one together.
Yep.
So we had some thoughts to share while we were, and I'm like, this is why we can't watch the sequel together. He kept being like, can we just watch the sequel together? I'm like, no, because we'll have the podcast discussion while we watch the movie. We have to do it separately because the 2 of us can't get through a movie without talking.
That is true.
It's a problem. We once tried to watch a 30-minute episode of a TV show, and it took us
3 hours.
Yeah.
At least.
I mean, it makes for great roommate shit, but very annoying for anyone around us who's actually trying to watch the show.
Yeah.
And very annoying for you when you actually want to watch the show.
The Expanse did not go well.
I tried with The Expanse. I really did. It was just very slow.
Well, I'm hoping that we get bored enough of you and sick enough of each other we can go back to it someday.
We will. But we tried to watch The Expanse while we still had other shows waiting for us. You're like, well, let's pause other shows to watch The Expanse. And I'm like,
Nope. The only one we've been good about is Trial and Error.
trial and error. We're good on that one.
Yep.
We do occasionally have to pause it to laugh so hard that we're crying. The baby Mews you hear behind us, that particular one is Lee. There is another baby Mew waiting in the kitchen named Gizmo.
Oh, no, he's right there.
Oh, Gizmo's behind us.
Yeah.
So if you hear some, hello Lee, you hear some mewing, it's our own personal Lion Kings.
They demand to be treated like kings.
They are both Alex's. They are his floofs. They are his babies.
Well, one of them is floofs.
And one is Fat Daddy. I will post pictures of them. Oh my goodness. Just for effect. I have to get a picture right now because it's like all three of you in the same like section of the couch. No, Gizmo, don't move. Gizmo, no. Gizmo, no. There we go. This is the fascinating world of podcasting, y'all. Like, you know when a podcast is, like, absolutely silent because they're taking pictures? This is why. It's cute. So we have podcast cats now. One step closer to my favorite murder every day. Did I say that? Maybe. So, Lion King 1.5.
Mm-hmm.
So the original movie is The Lion King, obviously. And I'm not going to go into the full details of The Lion King like I usually would because I've already done it before. I'm going to do some of the general big facts, but the really picking apart every part of the original, we're not going to do because I've already done it. So the original came out in 1994 with a budget of $45 million. It made $968 at box office. God damn. The sequel came out in 2004. No details on budget or box office, obviously.
It was after 2, correct?
Yes. So that's the confusing thing, is the order goes 1, 2, 1.5. It's counterintuitive mathematically, but yeah.
Chronologically, it makes sense.
Which part of me, like, I mean, it's obviously like an abbreviated version of the first.
Mm-hmm.
Part of me is like, do the fucking second one. Just like jam it on in there. So the original returning cast is everybody, pretty much.
Nala?
Yep. Matthew Broderick as Simba, Cam Clark as his singing voice, Moira Kelly as Nala, Nathan Lane as Timon, Ernie Sabella as Pumbaa, Robert Guillaume as Rafiki, Whoopi Goldberg, Cheech Marin, and Jim Cummings as Senzi, Banzai, and Ed, the hyenas. The only ones that were replaced were Rowan Atkinson did not return as Zazu. I
don't think Zazu had any new lines, though.
He did.
Oh.
It was Edward Hibbert, who was on Frasier, and also movies such as The Prestige. He has a single line, which is, "Look, sire, how they kneel before the new king."
Mm.
Yeah, I can get not getting Rowan Atkinson back in the studio for that. And young Simba was Jonathan Taylor Thomas, but obviously he's no longer a child, so he was replaced by Matt Weinberg for basically some like B-roll, like off-screen like audio.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a lot.
No, but didn't we have that whole conversation about Nev Campbell?
Yeah, it's just fucking Nev Campbell. Like, I'm just like, I get like, oh, we'll cast Jonathan Taylor Thomas. Like, all them kids, they do love the JTTs, but like, Nev Campbell, who the fuck was that for? Like,
Dave.
I mean, had she been on, what, Party of 5 at that point?
I did not know who that was until Dave brought her up.
Oh, well, she was in the Scream trilogy as Sydney.
Oh.
So that's what I knew her from. Yeah, Party of 5, that's what she was in. But yeah.
You know, kids movies,
like Scream. You know, like all the kids sure did love that Scream. So weird. So, Julie Kavner, is Ma. She's the voice of Marge Simpson.
Very noticeable.
And Jerry Stiller is Uncle Max. I'm not going to tell you all the things Jerry Stiller is in, because it's 1,000,004. The only places you see really big differences are the creative team. Like, the original score is done by Hans Zimmer, and the sequel is done by Don Harper, who did do music for Doctor Who, and he did the music for Lion King 2. And Lebo M, who did the vocal music, also did the music for Lion King 2. So they pretty much just took the same creative team from Lion King 2 and copied it over.
Which is interesting. I don't know what the pitch was to get Lion King 1.5 made.
I do.
Please enlighten me.
The theater nerd is about to come out.
Okay.
I'm sure you're familiar with the Lion King as Hamlet.
Yes.
Are you familiar with Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead?
I have heard of this.
It is an absurdist play basically told by two minor characters of Hamlet.
I remember the characters, yes.
Yes. So essentially, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead are two characters who are in Hamlet being like, man, that's kind of fucked up how, like, the king died. Yeah. Did you hear Hamlet was, like, talking to his girlfriend and his girlfriend was talking all crazy? That was mad weird. And they're two characters talking about the play that's happening that they're barely in.
Okay.
So, Lion King 1.5 is Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead.
Okay.
It's so fucking clever. I love it.
I feel like I was not reading Hamlet with the cool English teacher in high school.
Aww.
So I think he brought that up. And that's why I heard about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead is a really good play. It gets compared to, like, Waiting for Godot a lot. Like, it's, like, really weird and absurdist and, like, there's no point to it. But, like, it's fucking fun.
Mm-hmm.
I like it.
Okay.
In some countries, it's called Lion King 3 Hakuna Matata.
There you go.
Which I'm like, fucking do it. Yeah. Okay.
Whatever you want to call it.
So, some people would call this a midquel, which, like, Beauty and the Beast Enchanted Christmas is a midquel. Because it's like, here's something that happened during the course of the first movie that you didn't see any part of, hear any part of. It happened in the middle of the story.
Mm-hmm.
Lion King 1.5 is, at best, a prequel in its first 10 minutes.
Yep.
And then the rest of it is happening concurrently to the rest of the movie, which would make it a sequel. So, it's a pre-mid sequel. It's a lot of things.
It is.
And I'm proud of it. It's doing a lot.
Yeah.
Proud of you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a bold strategy to be like, hey, we're going to make a movie talking about how fucking great our movie is. Like, it's a bold strategy.
When did TV start getting into super meta stuff?
I would say around 2004.
Okay. I was going to say, it's right at around that time.
Well, when did The Office come out? The American one.
I don't know.
Chelsea is Googling. This is her. You had a question about Eric Andre.
Yeah. He's in the new one?
Yes.
And a character I don't know.
So, in the original, the hyenas are named Shenzi, Bonsai, and Ed.
Mm-hmm.
One of which is a Swahili name, one of which is a Japanese name, one of which is Ed.
Yep.
So they renamed the hyenas 3 Swahili names.
Ah.
Mm-hmm.
Eric Andre does make sense as a hyena.
Doesn't he, though? So, the American Office came out in 2005, motherfucker.
There you go.
The, like, self-referential looking at the camera shit. But it is very much, and let's just get into it, it starts with the format of, like, Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Yep.
Where it's just, like, the silhouettes, they're watching the screen.
That was one of my notes.
Yeah, that's not at all a new idea. But just that it became, like, kids can handle this. This, like, meta level that characters are aware of their own existence. I mean, that's a lot, but okay. Like...
Well, okay, so I'm not as familiar with Mystery Science Theater as I probably should be, given who I am as a person.
You really enjoy it.
I'm sure. The characters aren't actually in the movies they're watching, though, right?
No, they are 2 guys and a robot reviewing the movie.
Okay, that's kind of what I thought.
Yeah.
So, yeah, having the characters reviewing it being the characters in the movie... I was also waiting the entire time for them to, like, have a camera crew in the way.
Yeah, and, like, there were... I'll get to it closer to the end, where it's like, so are Timon and Pumbaa watching an actual thing that happened to their life, or are Timon and Pumbaa watching a movie that they were in? Because they seem to bop back and forth. on which it is.
Okay, did you hear about this? I think it was a cracked thing, so you might have. What was like, the guy was in one of the world wars, I think, and he was like in an African portion, and he basically like almost single-handedly won a battle. And then Hollywood said, we'd like to make a movie about it. And he goes, you can't. It's so unbelievable they wouldn't think it happened. So he either wrote as well, but I think he was involved in either directing or starring, maybe all three, reducing down what actually happened to him in the movie. And that's what I would imagine this being, is like, it happened to them, then they were involved in telling it again, and now that's a thing that's there.
I see that a lot of times where it's like some, like, it's usually like war hero movies or something like that, where it's like, no. What actually happened is so fucking crazy. We had to tone it down.
Yep.
I'm thinking the one of is in Gladiator, the whole like, oh man, like gladiators are so commercialized. It's like, it was even worse. There were literally like billboards of like, I'm Achilles and I only drink Coca-Cola. Like, it was that fucking like legitimately commercialized, and they had to like tone it down for the movie. Yeah. It's insane. So it starts off with them watching The Lion King, and Timon's just singing what we all sang when you couldn't understand the intro to Lion King, which is, what's on the menu is Pumbaa. It's a llama penguin in pajamas. It's a llama penguin in pajamas. Do you know what that actually translates to?
No.
It's in Zulu, not Swahili like the rest of the movie, which is endlessly confusing. Like everything else in the movie is Swahili. Intro's like, Zulu. It's a lion. Oh my god, a lion. Here's a lion. Here comes a lion. It's a lion. Look, there's a lion. Here's a lion. Look, it's a lion. It's a deep intro.
Yep. I feel like that was part of just like the, Africa. It's all one
establishing.
thing.
And Simba means lion.
Yes.
So, real creative on the names.
Just like Jungle Book.
Yep.
The other one they recently did a live action of.
Okay, and on that front, and I know I said it in the last one, can you call it live action if everything's going to be CGI anyway?
I would assume since someone actually had to act it out, okay, but then also, are we just calling the original Snow White and Sleeping Beauty live action? Because I'm pretty sure those were completely acted out, filmed, and then
they sketched over it. Yeah. That's what I mean. And like maybe they're doing like insane motion capture or like I don't know, but like I feel like calling it live action is weirdly deceptive. I'm like, remake, just call it a remake.
Yeah.
And like they're like, oh, the live action Dumbo. I'm like, because there will be humans in it.
Yes.
If I see a human in Lion King, I'll scream. I better not see a goddamn human in Lion King. Don't. Do it. Anyway. So they're watching the movie and Timon immediately starts fast forwarding through and Pumbaa's like, what the fuck are you doing? And he's like, we're not in this part. It's boring as hell. And he's like, well, we were there. He's like, yeah, but they don't know that. They know we're watching them. Mm-hmm. So, whole other element to this. And they're like...
This fourth wall breaking everywhere.
This is a sixth wall break. They're like, floor, break it. Ceiling, break it. Fourth wall, break it. There are no walls. And they're like, well, we were there, but, let's tell it from our side of the story. And they rewind the whole movie back.
So they were starting a movie in the middle of a movie.
No, they were starting it at Ha Saraya, which is the beginning.
Of Lion King.
Yeah.
But then they rewound.
Well,
yeah.
And
we're not talking like DVD skipping chapters. We're talking physical rewinds.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
So the footage of the story from their perspective oh, God. Fuck.
Yeah. How pissed would you be? You just go to a movie and you're like, oh, they're just going to cut me out. All right. I filmed a lot ahead of time. I thought this was the Timon and Pumbaa story.
The levels of meta are they're breaking my brain. Okay.
Real quick, since we're on the technology, I will mention why this movie actually, like, I wanted to do it.
Oh, yes.
So, born in 90, Lion King was part of childhood. Yeah. This is what it. And I watched it constantly. Having Lion King 1.5 come out in 2004, I was already 14. So it's kind of different. And this is why I got here. I'm pretty sure I rented it from Blockbuster.
Oh.
Yeah. Like, if it was a one-time watch.
Oh.
Right? I had to do the dead technologies together.
In the arms of the angel. There's only one.
I know.
There's one left.
That's the one with Russell Crowe's loincloth, right?
I think so. I think it's in, like, Oregon?
Alaska. Yeah. Because they have terrible streaming speeds and
Far
stuff.
Away from here.
Yeah.
Like, obviously I love the convenience of Netflix and Redbox and all that. But there's something about the ritual of, like, mom being like, get in the car, we're going to Blockbuster. Where you're just like, fuck yes. This Saturday's gonna be lit.
Did you have that moment where you were like, I finally get to go into X aisle? Where it's like, yeah.
The PG-13 aisle. And you're just like, I rented Napoleon Dynamite from a Blockbuster.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yup. I like that's legitimately the last movie I can remember renting from a Blockbuster. And then when Blockbuster started renting out video games, because I have fucking ADD, I play a game. If I don't beat it in a week, it's dead to me. Like, if I get stuck on a level for more than a day, I'm like, I don't want to play it anymore.
It must have been a godsend for you.
So, huh?
Must have been a godsend for you.
Oh, it absolutely was, because my parents got so pissed. Like, we're not buying you another $60 video game for you to beat in a day, or try for a day, give up on, and never play again. Oh, God. We didn't know what we had.
Yeah, we did. We gave it up.
Netflix, if you could do video games, like, beautiful.
It's supposed to be like...
I know GameFly exists.
Yeah. Is that still a thing?
I don't know.
I haven't watched TV in so long.
Well, basically, because, like, now you're not buying a physical disc, you're buying a download of a game for this exact reason. They can charge each individual person for a game, and there can be no sharing or reselling or passing down. It's like textbooks. Fuck
and
you.
It's so much data, too.
Yep.
I hate that it's still discs. Like, just give me a flash drive with, like, a 20 gig flash drive. Yep. With a game on it.
We won't get into it.
No.
We won't get into it. So, they're talking about Pride Rock, and they're like, how can a rock be proud? That's stupid. And Timon's like, I think it's because pride, because, like, it's a pride of lions. And he's like, yeah, you're smarter than me, aren't you? And as they're rewinding / zoom, they're not rewinding, they're zooming out.
Oh, God.
They zoom out.
This remote control was amazing.
When I was a young meerkat. And they start singing Dig a Tunnel, which is a bop.
It's basically a remix version of what song? It's like the intro, right? But remixed?
It is.
Yeah. It's good.
Before the hyena comes. Those hyenas traveled a very long way to then not eat anything.
Yeah, it's also a meerkat, so a long way might not be that long.
True.
But I would also like to think that song, The Digging a Tunnel, is a pretty good metaphor for the movie as a whole. Taking the original, mixing it up.
Dig a little deeper. Little deeper. I really appreciate that all of the meerkats are not copy-pasted. Like, each one had its own face shape, its own nose size, its own color, its own body shape.
Except hair color.
Mm-mm.
They were all like a tan, except Timon was red, his mom was red, and his uncle...
There were blonde, there were dark, there were almost black. No, for real. Like,
okay.
They went legit. I was proud of you, Disney. That would have been a very easy thing to copy-paste. And it would have kind of been like, but he's not one of them. Like...
Yeah. I kind of felt that way, because I thought he was the only redhead.
He's the only redhead, but there are like multiple blondes, multiple brown.
Even meerkats don't like gingers.
Oh. Simba's a ginger.
They're all gingers. All the lions are.
Except for
Scar.
Oh, I was reading today. There's a 90% chance that Simba is Scar's son. Because basically in lions, an increase in testosterone means that you're better at fucking. And it makes your mane darker.
Oh. Yeah, you went deep.
So, Scar was real good at fucking.
But he'd have to have the ladies touch or let him touch them.
True. Other thing, then he's definitely Nala's father.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're the only two lions with green eyes.
Yeah. That's for sure.
So, Simba's fucking his sister or his cousin or both. Those are the options, folks.
I feel like Nala had a different mom, so definitely cousins. I mean,
but they have siblings.
Yeah. Fair.
Yeah. So the only meerkats besides Timon that have names are Ma, great name, and Uncle Max. So Timon fucks up the whole tug. Okay, also, none of them say his name the same way.
Oh, I noticed. I'm so glad you figured that out.
Timon! And the mom says Timon. And Pumbaa says Timon. And... Okay, and I said this in the last one, but Simba feels like that person who's trying to be so politically correct, he overpronounces people's names. He's like, these are my friends, Timon and Pumbaa. I'm like, Timon and Pumbaa? Simba, like, fucking chill. No, like, but in the same line, two characters will say Timon's name differently.
Oh, yeah, I noticed it, and I think we brought that up on the last one. That's something I noticed for some reason, so I'm glad you picked up on it.
Very irritating. So...
I swear they just, like, handed him scripts and were like, that's the name!
Yeah. So they...
Just waiting for a Timon.
And they call him Timmy occasionally.
Yes.
I can get that. So all they do is dig to hide and hide to dig. It's no fun.
Nope.
So at one point, Ma walks Timon out to the Pride Lands. He's like, do you see that grass?
Oh, we... Did you skip over when he broke down the tunnel? Did you skip that?
Oh, he broke the tunnel.
But how did he break it?
He put in a skylight.
He needed to add a skylight because it was too dark and drab.
I mean, true. But his mom's like, yeah, like, okay, I understand it sucks to be in a tunnel, but look, like, see everything the light touches? It belongs to someone else, so get back in the hole.
Such wonderful parallels.
And he's like, really thought you were going somewhere else with that? She's like, well, it wasn't. They have this weird element where Max has, like, a flat top and, like, clearly has, like, PTSD.
Yes.
And I waited for her to be like, you weren't there. I was there when the hyenas came. They came in droves, and I was the only... Like, I was waiting for that whole monologue. It never came.
And they continued with the, that weird... The general has to have a whip with it. Yet, like... I don't know why that's a thing in Disney movies, but it's a character trait that is required.
Yep. So there was so in Hakuna Matata, there's the whole verse where it explains like how Pumbaa came to there. So there was a whole verse where Timon explained his, but it got cut, and they basically extended that verse into the first 10 minutes of this movie.
I wish they did some of the Pumbaa backgrounds too.
Yeah, Pumbaa's just like, I'm alone because reason. And
I know I'm going to jump ahead real fast, but when they met up, I was like, just cut out, have them be like, and this is where we got together. And Pumbaa goes, well, how about we show my intro then too? And they're like, of course. Just added 10 more minutes to the movie.
Or even if they're like, well, let's show where I came from. And Timon's like, no one cares about you, Pumbaa. Anyway, back to me. Like,
they just ignored it.
Even that would have been funny. But like, there's like, Pumbaa is just alone.
I think someone had trouble animating warthogs, and we're like, as little of those as humanly possible.
Because his whole issue is that he's a big fat farty pig. I'm like, you have to assume that they're all big fat farty pigs.
Yeah.
Is he just the fartiest? Like, I don't know. So they decide Timon's gonna be a sentry, so he has to like keep watch and make sure the hyenas don't come. And they scurry, sniff, flinch, scurry, sniff, flinch. He does that for approximately 10 seconds before he gets bored. And immediately the hyenas are like, ha ha, like pop out from behind a rock. And he sings, That's All I Need. And he has the whole fantasy of like the life he wants. And it's, waterfalls and hammocks and frothy coconut drinks. And the music like drops away for like the last 5 lines of the verse. And I'm like,
it's a little early.
This is what musicals look like in real life.
Mm-hmm. Let me know if you thought of this. When he was singing that, I was like, did he just keep his eyes closed for a straight 2 minutes? Because the hyenas weren't hiding that much.
No.
So,
I think he was just spacing.
Well, he clearly closes his eyes when he starts his dance.
Mm-hmm.
And then he clearly opens them later. And I was like, was he just closed the whole time? Was that dance sequence his fantasy? And he just kept his eyes closed and was like, I'm living it up.
I'm guessing so.
Yeah. Because I felt like being a sentry wouldn't be too hard. You could have your dance numbers. Just keep your eyes open.
Your cats are reenacting the most tragic scene in the first Lion King movie.
On the stairs?
Yeah. Gizmo was Mufasa. They ran away. He got it.
Okay.
But Lee was trying to come up the stairs and Gizmo just pushed him down.
Gizmo was Mufasa?
Gizmo was Scar.
Okay.
There we go. Gizmo was Scar.
Well, that's good. I like Gizmo standing up for him. Gizmo's like a year and a half younger than Lee.
And he's a floof.
He's a floof. He's a little baby.
So, immediately the hyenas are there. And he's like, haha, I thought beans were the only musical fruit. Decently funny line. Haha.
Yeah. Especially to anyone who really loved Lion King 1. You're right at that age. That's wonderful.
And also, I can't quite tell how big meerkats are. Because it seemed like in some scenes, like hyena next to meerkat, the meerkats were like shoulder height with him.
Mm-hmm.
But when he licks Max, Max is the size of his mouth.
Yeah.
I'm like, so are meerkats like palm-sized, or are they like cat-sized?
Are you talking like real world or just in that animation?
Yes.
Real world, they're like 8 to 9 inches tall, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're
like a tallish guinea pig.
I mean, definitely not up to hyena's shoulders, but also not as small as hyena tongue.
No.
Yeah.
And like when like Timon is laying on Simba and like can wrap both of his arms around his toe.
Yeah.
I'm like, how big is he? I can't tell. Like, but yeah, inconsistencies.
Yeah, it's standard.
So, they're all running around screaming, all of the meerkats, and Shenji's like, that's how I like them, scrambled and a little bit runny. And then it switches to QVC. And Timon's like, while you're sitting on the remote, he's like, my
That's
bee.
a good one. Is it QVC and Disney related in any way, shape, or form?
I have no idea.
Because everything else that they brought in, you were like, okay, that's Disney related. I'm sure they have the rights to it. It's no big deal.
I don't know if it actually said QVC or if it was just like a QVC parody.
Yeah.
Oh, I think QVC is ABC though.
Then yeah, that would work.
Tie up.
Yep.
Well, now Disney owns all.
Don't remind me.
Why?
You know I hate it so much.
Okay, but when that fucking Disney streaming platform comes down and it has everything, it's gonna be glorious.
We'll see.
Every Marvel movie, every Star Wars movie, and every Disney movie and TV show, the jam. Like, okay, Disney, if you're gonna be stingy with your shit, put it all together, make me pay for it that way. I would happily, like, if fucking Disney brings out their streaming service, it's like, well, it's 3 Star Wars movies, not any one from the same trilogy.
Nope.
And, like, just the first season of Lizzie McGuire, eat a dick, get fucked. If it's just like, here's everything, I will drop an additional $19.99 a month.
Did you hear Nickelodeon's just got, like, all of it somewhere now? I was at the theater yesterday, and they were just like, hey, your childhood clearly directed at me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
One of the podcasts I listened to is advertising for. I can't remember.
Does it start with a V?
Which podcast or which thing it's called. Verve?
I don't know.
I don't know.
That was a mistake.
Hey, whatever streaming service that is, you want me to advertise? Ring a ding. stupidsequelspodcast@gmail.com, bitch.
We have no allegiances.
All of the meerkats escape, some only with the skin on their butts, as is Disney tradition, it feels like.
Yep.
And they're like, my bad. And they're like pissed off. And like usually when it's like, we don't like you because you're different, I'm like, leave them alone. I'm like, they have a point. They almost died.
Oh, yeah. It was, yeah. No, they deserve to be pissed at him.
Yeah, like when Triton gets all pissed at Ariel because she like has a couple of forks, I'm like, don't be a dick. Let her have her stuff.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, Timon's people be mad at him. He wrecked shit.
He ruins your homes and streets and schools and just all basic infrastructure.
And puts your lives in danger.
And puts your lives in danger.
So he decides he's going to leave and find his, corner of the sky. And his mom's like, wash behind your ears, swim with a buddy, don't talk to strangers.
She was pretty generic at that part, right?
Yeah.
Just like later where she just starts throwing in Yiddish.
Yeah, you mashigana. I mean, Timon does sound like he's from Brooklyn, so it tracks, but, so then Timon has this whole, like, heroic monologue, and he's like, so with my spirits high, I boldly ventured off where no meerkat had dared to go to before. I put my best behind me. I never looked back. Mommy! Like, it just dissolves immediately into tears. And Rafiki's like, boop. And he's like, what do you want? And he's like, I sang about it, like, a good 5 minutes ago. Did you hear? And he's like, wasn't there. And he's like, blah, 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 waterfalls, hammock, corner of the sky. And he's like, oh, you want Hakuna Matata. And he's like, look beyond what you see. And it's like, ha, ha, ha. And he's like looking and he's like, I don't know what it is. Ha, ha. I don't know, man. What do I really want? Ha. Well, it's really hard to think with all this fucking music. Ha. I was singing The Little Mermaid right there. And he's like, Pride Rock is what I want.
Pointy Rock. I do want to add real quickly. For that whole opening monologue, or not monologue, but like songs of like, we're prey for everything. We need to constantly be vigilant. We need to be hiding underground. Da da da. Timon walks alone above ground with no one bothering him for a pretty long time. Yeah. I think maybe Meerkat's your problem was if you don't want people to steal your chicken nuggets, don't put 3,000 chicken nuggets on a pile on top of each other in a shallow hole. Maybe you're less appetizing that way. Yeah, I'll save any more thoughts for the very end.
So basically he decides he's going to go to Pride Rock, and on his way, he runs into a Pumbaa. And he's like, yeah, animals give me a pretty wide berth, and no one wants to be around me. He's like, love it. No one will bug us. No one has bugged him up to this point except for Rafiki. But sure. Okay.
And Rafiki was pretty chill.
Yeah. I mean, he did hit him on the head with a stick.
Always does.
He does. But Ma gets him.
Uh-huh.
She does not get smacked with the stick. She smacks Rafiki with the stick.
You know it.
Don't fuck with the mom. And
nope.
so she's like, oh my God, are we friends? And Timon's like, acquaintances. We're not friends. And Pumbaa's like, this is the beautiful, or I think Timon says, he's like, this is the beginning of a beautiful acquaintanceship. Would you like to begin your metaphor?
Which one? Oh. Okay. There was a part a little bit after this where I was.
Oh, do you want to wait till it?
Sure.
Okay, we'll get to it.
Yeah.
We try not to talk before we start recording, but we live together now, and it's very hard.
Yeah.
So.
This one was also just to make sure I didn't sound like an idiot.
You still might, but I want to record it.
Oh.
So now we're finally back to the intro that we all know. And they just like walk through that epic shot. They're like, God, it's hot outside.
Right in front. It made me feel a little ET-ish though, but I was okay with that. So
Pride Rock is all crowded because everyone wants to see Simba get born. And right beyond Pride, and he's like, damn
that monkey told everyone else about the good spot.
So Pride Rock's totally crowded, but right behind Pride Rock, there's like a perfect little oasis with like a swing and a pool.
It's tiny Pride Rock.
It's tiny Pride Rock.
Yeah.
Is it Sin Rock or Wrath Rock?
No.
Creed, Gluttony Rock. Gluttony Rock.
We'll allow it.
Or is it Envy Rock? Envy Rock.
I was just gonna say Cub Rock instead of whole pride. Just one with cub.
I was going with the 7 deadly sins metaphor, but sure.
I know. I just didn't want to continue it.
So they're like, okay, let's go to the oasis. And they're like shoving through the crowd of all the other creatures. And Pumbaa's like, I don't do well in crowds. And his stomach starts getting all gurgly.
So many fart jokes were
many.
made.
Yeah.
One after the other.
And he's like, I don't know. I don't like to make wind. I don't know.
You get a second wind.
Don't get all gassed up. Like, it's just, and then pulls on his tail and he farts and
it's a nuclear bomb.
Yeah.
It's a blast.
And
something gets ignited somehow.
Yeah. So all of the animals are like collapsing. And then these ones who are like past the stink raiders are like, oh man, they're bowing. We should bow too. And everybody bows. And then they're like, oh, look, they respect Simba so much. It's like, no, that was a fart faint. That was a stink fall.
Everything was just explained for... Like, the first movie was just explained through comedic effect.
Yep. Which, like, everyone's like, that ruins it. I'm like, it's funny. Leave it alone. So they set up at the oasis. And Timon's like, aha, perfect for one. And Pumbaa's like, I guess I'll go then. I guess I believe. And he's like, well, I guess you can stay. He's like, great, I already made 2 beds. So he makes a big old giant one for himself and a little tiny one for Timon. But Timon gets in the big bed.
Keeping the one is a meerkat and the other is a dog metaphor going.
Yep. So they wake up in the middle of the morning and they're like, what the fuck is that noise? And it's I Just Can't Wait to Be King being performed essentially on top of them. And Timon's like, keep down that racket, kids! And he like pokes the rhino that's supporting this tower of 3,000 animals. Which is something we also discussed during the original. We're like, oh my god, that's very impressive stacking.
Mm-hmm. And this is the part that I was going to bring up. Because Timon explicitly goes, ugh, the theater district. And I was like, that's the only part that breaks this metaphor in character for me. Why would he be upset about living in the theater district?
Because maybe he's trying to run from himself.
There you go.
So, Timon and Pumbaa are a gay couple.
Timon is... It doesn't help that he's voiced by Nathan Lane.
Nathan Lane!
And I think that might put the idea in the head, but very much it just feels like Timon especially is gay. Yeah. He's being shunned for being too flamboyant. He had to put in a skylight. All of his stuff was very colorful and out there.
And Pumbaa doesn't really have a lot of friends. He got kicked out of his family. He's just looking for somewhere to belong. So maybe Timon hates those flamboyant, extravagant people who get to revel in who they are because he doesn't feel comfortable being him yet.
Possibly.
He's a self-hating meerkat.
He is.
If nothing else, it proves that 2 dads can raise a great kid.
They can. At least for a couple of years.
Yeah, so they're like, man, they knocked down our oasis. Damn it. Let's go somewhere else. And they go to the elephant graveyard, and he's like, it's got good bones.
Yeah.
It's full of bones.
No, everything was wink and a nod joke.
It just always makes so much noise when I do it.
Yes.
There we go.
No. Everywhere they ended up was wonderful.
Yeah.
And I want to include more of Lion King 1.5 references in my own life.
Home, dream home. There's steam. Steam is water. Need water to house. Steam home, dream home.
Yeah.
And then river dance away from your problem. Basically, you hear the beginning of all of the epic songs, and they're like, "Fucking A again," and leave.
Yeah. Rafiki as a realtor is entertaining.
He's like, that fucking monkey doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about.
He's got an eye for real estate.
So they finally end up at the canyon. He's like, okay, so what it lacks in food and water, it makes up for in dizzying heat and blinding sun. And then the stampede starts, and I'm like, so wait a fucking minute. A goddamn meerkat outran this stampede, but a fucking lion cub was like, Daddy, save me.
But they didn't.
They lived.
They lived, but they didn't outrun it. They just ended up on top of a wildebeest. Admittedly, the lion cub could have gotten on top of a wildebeest too.
Hello, I'm your king. Kneel.
Yeah. No, there's some serious animal prejudice going on.
There
Deciding who is... And, like, I get it with the whole... Who can we eat and who's lovable and da-da-da-da. And you draw the line between bugs like that.
And mice.
Like, I kind of get that one. But, yeah.
Okay, so here's the only part of Lion King 1.5 that falls apart for me.
Okay.
So they're in the canyon the day the stampede happens.
Yes.
They get flipped onto a warthog, onto a waterfall.
Uh-huh.
Hello, Lee. Off the waterfall, they pause it. Timon sings Small World, picks his nose. Pumbaa makes a bucket of bugs. It's very
Calls
cute.
out Timon for picking his nose.
Did you pick your nose? No, it's scratching it from the inside. And then they end up on like a hill of nothing, and they're like, oh man, like, oh, and this whole time Pumbaa's like, I'm pretty sure I know a place that's really great, and Timon's like, shit,
yeah,
I'm dealing with it. I don't need to hear your suggestions. Would you say that Pumbaa was like, young man, there's no need to feel down? I said, young man, pick yourself on the ground. I know a place where we can have a good time. Hakuna Matata. Yeah. Anyway, so they fall asleep on this like hill after coming off the waterfall, and they're like, man, we'll never find anywhere. Mm-hmm. And then they wake up and they're like a foot from it.
Yeah.
And I can't tell if they're naming the place Hakuna Matata, essentially.
Yeah, more or less.
Okay, so Simba had to run through a desert for a while to get to Hakuna Matata, and Timon and Pumbaa were very much like, this is our home, this is where we live.
They took the short way. So here's my
okay,
thought. Okay.
I want to hear the explanation.
A couple times, they just show this giant rock with waterfalls coming off of it. Mm-hmm. I have no idea where that rock is.
No.
It could be the back of Pride Rock. I don't really think so.
No.
But it is somewhere. And it is near this canyon.
Mm-hmm.
Wherever it is. And I think Simba didn't know about this sharp cliff waterfall back way. And just like went down around the front, started to be like, Pride Rock is that way, so I'm gonna walk the opposite way, which just he just went down one side of that giant rock and then around the outside and then kind of found it on the other side.
But then when they go back to Pride Rock, all three of them roam through the desert.
Yeah, you can't go up that cliff. You see what I'm saying? Like just imagine like that, and it's over here. And he just goes down and around the mountain to over. Yeah. Because they can't go up the side of the cliff with the waterfalls.
Okay.
Yeah.
That still doesn't explain how they were like, oh yeah, we've been living here for a while, when they've at best been there for 24 hours pre-Simba.
No, I felt like they were there for a while.
No, but just like, Simba walked through the desert for like a day and collapsed. Like.
Well, yeah, but they had already gone through all their, like, they had sung another Hakuna Matata song. Mm-hmm. They had gotten bored of doing just everyday stuff and went out and...
But that's what I mean, is they were there long enough to get bored.
Yeah.
In the time it took Simba to collapse and almost die. Like...
Yeah.
Anyway, that's the only part of this movie I have trouble tracking the logic.
Yeah, I'm okay with that being an issue.
So... But yeah, Hakuna Matata has everything. It has dramatic views, a porch swing, a hot spring, fully stocked food.
Oh, we jumped over him trying to come up with the name Hakuna Matata.
I just got to it.
Well, then how did they already name it that?
So they've got there.
Okay.
And so then he's like, man, what was the name of this thing? The monkey said it. It was
I thought that was before Simba showed up.
It is. No. We haven't even gotten to singing Hakuna Matata yet.
Okay. I'm sorry. I can't keep our own timeline straight.
No. But Pumbaa's cooking and he's like, I made tuna focaccia. And he's like, no, that's not it. And he's like, a spinach ricotta. And he's like, no. And he's like, I gotta love that. Like, there's a million of them.
And it's like, I would say 75% of them are food related.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
And Timon's like, I can't remember the thing. And Pumbaa's like, oh, well, Hakuna Matata. What did you just say? Okay. It's time. There's a show.
I'll laugh about this for like 15 minutes.
There's a show that Alex and I very deeply enjoy. And the name of this show is You're the Worst. And I know about maybe 4 other people listening to this are like, oh my god, someone else watches this show.
It's incredible.
I won't even try to explain the show. Basically, it's
an anti-romantic comedy.
It's an anti-romantic comedy. It's on FX. The new season's going to start in a couple of months.
New and final.
But watch it. And basically, one of the
so
characters is super pretentious and very smart. And he knows everything.
But he's from backwoods England.
But he's from England, which
like
is
the
always...
hillbilly, out of nowhere, 8 parts of England.
So he basically finds out that his girlfriend is clinically depressed.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, I know how to make you feel better. And you're going to hear how.
Hey, so, you know, last night when you were crying in your car, all good now, right?
Yeah, totally. I'm fine.
Okay, good. Right then. Hakuna Matata.
Did you just quote The Lion King to me?
The lion what? No, it's a Swahili phrase.
No, I know. Are you sure you're not quoting something?
Just Khalid, the kebab shop owner in my old neighborhood. I mean, the phrase doesn't translate easily to English, but it means that there is not currently a problem.
So would you say it's a problem-free philosophy?
That's a tad simplistic, but...
Okay, so it's like no worries for the rest of your days?
Oh, Gretchen. And the East Africans live very much in the moment, so it's not a guarantee of smooth sailing forever. That's just childish. But you know what? If you like to be really positive about it, sure. Hakuna Matata for the rest of your days.
God damn it, this show. It's so good, and everyone needs to be watching it, and they're not.
Oh, God. I mean, especially...
Matata.
I love it so much.
And she just looks at him like, what the actual fuck are you talking about? And there's a part later on at like the very end of the episode where like his roommate's like, Hakuna Matata man. He's like, do you know Khalid? Like, I can't ever hear Hakuna Matata without thinking of You're the Worst now.
They somehow stole it.
They did.
They took my childhood and they stole it. And I don't care. I love it so much.
Gretchen and Jimmy would be so happy to hear that. You took my childhood and you ruined it. Great.
No, they didn't ruin it. I just can't associate it with anything else anymore. I literally, anytime someone says Hakuna Matata, my first thought is Matata.
Hakuna Matata.
He's a bit simplistic,
So
Richard.
yeah, breaking tradition. My favorite quote from this movie is a quote from a TV show. It's also just like hilarious considering how bad things are going in the TV show by the point time they get to that, and how badly things go afterwards. But they're just like a Hakuna Matata joke right in the middle there.
Oh, but yeah. Especially, okay, just for further, everyone watch You're the Worst.
Everyone.
Everyone.
It's on Hulu. There's no excuse.
As someone who is in their 20s, is attempting to date, and I would guess this extends into early 30s as well.
I would say.
And has had struggles, just generally speaking, especially with kind of mental health. They cover so much, and it's done so well, and it really it helps put a lot into perspective. And
it's a very good show that you're laughing and you're like, these are terrible people. Oh no, it's too real. Ooh, like, but it kind of like each of them covers one of the archetypes of mental illness, I would say.
Yeah. And I can't imagine trying to date without some of the things I have learned from that show.
Yes. Like, pretty much whenever, like, you introduced it to me.
Sometimes you just gotta do butt stuff on Tuesdays. I think it's Wednesdays.
Did you spit on it?
Oh.
Just the end of the first episode where he's like, so what kind of socks you wearing? Knee-high, athletic, green and white stripes. You are a goddess. Just, they're so bad for each other. And also just right for each other.
I couldn't imagine them working with other people.
They barely work with each other.
I know. But they do work with each other.
So they launched into a sing-along of Hakuna Matata with, like, words on the screen and, like, the bouncing ladybug going over all the words.
Which I had no idea even disappeared.
And then he's like, Pumbaa, where's the grub? And he's like, bleh. And he just spits out this bad little ladybug who's, like, limps away. And then it, like, half dances through the words and then disappears again.
I thought it was just, like, a drunken stupor through the words and actually lined up really well.
And then it disappears fully again and is not mentioned. It's like,
yeah.
So, he did?
He did not make it back. Oh.
So Rafiki finds Ma somehow, for some reason. I don't know.
Did she find him? Because she was already like, no?
No, because it's after the end of the speech. She's like, I gotta go find him.
Oh, okay.
But he's like, I told him to look beyond what he sees. She's like, oh, it's a really nice metaphor. You used a metaphor on my son? He's an idiot. He's gonna take that shit literally.
And then he used a metaphor with her that you could take literally.
Yeah. Which was like,
the
journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step.
Yeah.
And she's like, good, smack! I'm going to find my son. And then it takes her years, presumably?
Yup.
Because she leaves pre them finding Simba.
Yeah.
And does not find them until Simba is back at Pride Rock.
Yeah.
Oh, that's sad.
I know.
She looked for her son for years.
But she never gave up hope. And it was rewarded.
Yeah.
With a dope new pad.
Dope new pad. So they are doing all the things they like to do. They're chasing porcupines and eating bugs. And then they're bored because they've done everything. And then they see buzzards. They're like, let's chase the buzzards down. And he's like, oh yeah. One more of these can't change my life. Ha ha ha. Little do you know. Yes, it can, because they're Simba.
Also, it was fun because in Lion King 1, you were like, oh, they're coming to scare off the buzzards and save him. And in Lion King 1.5, you're like, oh, they was just dicking around. They had no idea Simba was there.
They didn't even know he was there. So they kind of like yada 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 saving Simba. Yes, Lee? He's destroying the couch.
He's doing that to the upstairs one. I'm worried.
So they're singing, or The Lion Sleeps Tonight is playing, and they are like, Simba's like, I have to go to the bathroom. I want a drink of water. I need to go. Like, and he's like, so I'm gonna get old walking across this log, kid. So funny. And then he wakes them up one more time. And he's like, what? And he's like, I had a bad dream.
Oh, and intercutting it all with Jungle Boogie was just wonderful.
Jungle Boogie. Because Simba's being a reckless little lion. He's jumping out of trees and he's he's being a little shit. And then he's like, come on, get into bed with us. And so they all sleep in their giant dog pile. But Timon and Pumbaa were definitely already sleeping in bed together before Simba entered the picture.
Oh, yeah.
Big A.
I mean, serious relationship for sure.
They're involved.
Yeah. You don't want to just... They could be by two. You never want to just cut it down to just one option.
Big A for each other.
There you go.
We get to that weird, like, half teenage Simba where he's got, like, the half mane going on that, like, we only see for a split second in Hakuna Matata in the original. And they're like, Simba's king of the rock, man. He crunched more crickets. He munched more caterpillars. And he's like, did he slurp more snails? He's like, I don't know. We've never had a snail eating contest before. And I have to say, Timon went 1 for 1 with a lion for a while.
A lion, like, in puberty.
And he lost by 1.
Yep.
That's pretty fucking impressive.
Yeah. I personally would have preferred a little more, like, Raiders of the Lost Ark drinking scene. Because they clearly tried to do it like a shot-for-shot drinking competition. But it was good. It was impressive.
Yeah, they play the good, the bad, and the ugly, the wah, wah, wah. And then Timon's like, oh man, our boy is growing up. And then they start playing Sunrise Sunset from Fiddler on the Roof. Oh, they're gay. Because you know what he's accepted? The theater district.
I feel like when you have a sing-along, not a sing-along, but musical number during Sentry Duty, you're pretty much there. Which is why I was like, that was so early on, it was upsetting to me.
Oh no. Did they not like him because he was a bad sentry? Or because he was great at musical theater?
I feel like musical theater just didn't have a role in their society. Just like dancing and footloose.
But God, can you imagine those acoustics in the tunnels? I would have sung too.
I mean, yeah.
Poor thing. So then this is the trailer that I think we all saw as the intro to Lion King 1.5, where they're all sitting in the hot tub together and it's like bubbling and roiling. They're like, oh man, great day, like eating bugs and fucking around. So chill. Love this. Love being me. And then, highly. And then Pumbaa's like, well, I'm gonna go. And he gets out of the hot tub and all of the bubbles immediately disappear.
That scene pushed me over the edge. I tried really hard to just say, you know, we'll just kind of guesstimate maybe like a couple years here. I was like, no, I need to see how old Simba is for this scene specifically.
Why?
Because he had his full mane. So they were about 1 year. They've learned to hunt. They're weaned off their mother. They're good. I assume that's about when Simba got kicked out.
Yes.
Or left.
Yes.
3 to 4 years, they reach sexual maturity. I assume that's the age he's at now. Because he's clearly not a full adult yet. He's just very close. Full adult, by the way, is 5 to 6.
Wow, Chelsea, you did a deep dive on mane colors.
Yeah. Yeah. This is why we get along. So, I was like, 3 to 4 years, Pumbaa has been the last one out of the tub every single time.
And also, the tub was bubbling when they got there before either of them got into it.
Well, I thought Pumbaa was always... I didn't think it was ever bubbling. I think Pumbaa was just always in the tub, period.
Oh.
Because they had the scene before, and it was Pumbaa and Timon were in, and it was bubbling when they were like, we found paradise. And then Timon, or like, it was Pumbaa, and then Simba was either in it with him or just hopped in, and then Timon was coming in later. That's the little baby Giz.
Say hello, Gizmo. I'm gonna hold the Gizmo on my lap.
Eventually, you guys will hear him.
He's sitting on my lap right now. So they've been sitting in a fart spa for 3 to 4 years.
Yeah, and no one's noticed.
Nope. So Nala
Just
shows
let
up.
him go.
No, I want to hold him.
If you're gonna hold him, then pet him and scratch him and loves him.
So Nala shows up, and they're like, we can't let them feel the love tonight. And they start trying to sabotage all of their romantic...
Mission Impossible or James Bond? I didn't remember. Just generic spy
That's
stuff?
not Mission Impossible.
No.
I think it might be one of the James Bonds.
Well,
I'm
the
not
James
sure.
Bonds are... Doom, 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 doom. Right?
Well, there's a different one for each one. I mean, like...
That's like the James Bond.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it was just generic spy music.
Yeah, I think so too.
Okay, so Nala gets there, and they try to thwart the romance with thorns and spiders and bees and a trip rope and butterflies, and it just gets more and more romantic the harder they try.
Mm-hmm.
And so they see Simba and Nala fighting. Essentially, it's the scene where she's like, you have to come back and help Pride Rock. And he's like, no. And they're like, haha, we broke them up. And then they're like, oh man, that's a weird storm rolling in. And you see like the full Mufasa face like form in the clouds.
He goes, the storm is coming to a head.
Ha! That's right. God, this movie's clever. And then Simba's just gone. They're like, Simba's going back. And they're like, why again? And she's like, so Scars. And they both just tune out. And they're like, oh my God, she never shuts up. And so Pumbaa's like, we gotta go help him. And Timon's like, that's not our fight. I don't want to. I'm not about it. And Pumbaa's like, well, I'm gonna go. And Timon's like, that's fine. I'm in paradise. Paradise is paradise with you or alone. And guess what? It's not. Oh my God, Alex.
What?
Maybe Hakuna Matata isn't a place. It's a feeling. Sometimes.
I mean, it's quite simplistic of you.
Hakuna Matata is a person. Or a warthog. So
Breaking all the barriers. Same-sex, interspecies relationships.
let them be happy. So it shows Pumbaa like running through the desert, and it's like Simba same montage, and then you just see Timon like whip past him real quick, and he's like, "What the hell was that?" And he's like, "I was trying to go slow so you'd catch up with me." And he's like, "Aw, thank you." And he's like, "Friends stick together till the end." And they're like, and then we were part of the epic fight. Luau! Okay, let's fucking skip that part. And I'm like, no, it's my favorite part.
The cross-dressing?
Uh-huh. What do you want me to do? Dress and drag and do the hula? Luau. If you hunger for a fat and juicy treat, eat my poop and is it juicy? Are you aching? Thank you. Yep.
Sorry.
Are you aching?
Yep.
Or some bacon?
Yep.
He's a big pig.
Yep.
You can be a big pig too. Thank you. Needed that. So they see Simba and Scar fighting, and they're like, well, Simba's got Scar handled, but all the hyenas are there. So if Scar starts to lose, the hyenas will just jump on him.
No, they're like, oh, I see Simba is handling this diplomatically, as all things should be.
And then like a fire starts and they start hitting each other, and he's like, or not.
Yeah.
And so they're like, okay, we have to get the hyenas away from Scar. And they're like, I know how we do. Oh, Max and Ma have showed up at this point. They're like, Timon, we found you. Years of looking,
yes.
and they still pretty much only got to the halfway point.
Yeah.
And so...
Hey, they didn't have a direction. They could have just been going every which way.
Except Timon said, I'm going to go to the pointy rock. And Rafiki definitely was there and heard that.
Oh, yeah. Rafiki could have guided him. He's just a dick.
So they're trying to distract the hyenas as Max and Ma are digging tunnels because that's how you build a trap. And they try juggling, they try plate spinning, they try the can, they try breakdancing. And they're like, and when they're breakdancing, one of the hyenas is like, encore, encore. And Shenji's like, no, entree. And then out of goddamn nowhere, Timon's like, I know what this is about. Shenzi Marie Predatora Jacquelina Hyena, will you be my bride? And she's like, huh? And he's like, I know what you're thinking. What would the children look like? She's like, that is wrong on so many levels. And Pumbaa just was like, I have been living with this man for how many years, gathering his bugs and fluffing his bed, and this bitch of a hyena gets a ring. I can't. I hate it. So basically they have this I can't think of what it's called. The machine where it's unnecessary steps. Rube Goldberg.
Yeah.
They basically have this Rube Goldberg machine trap, and one of the steps gets stuck.
I mean, sure.
It's a tunnel held up by sticks that when you kick out the sticks, it knocks over the sticks and they fall in a hole and down a tunnel and out a chute.
They just needed to... Yeah.
It's a rudimentary Rube Goldberg. But anyway, it's an overly complicated trap, and one of the things gets stuck, and they're like, oh no, and the hyenas are advancing on Max and Ma, and Timon dives in and kicks it out, and all of the hyenas just fall into a hole and go sliding down this thing like it's a goddamn slip and slide. And not like it's dry rock.
Yup. It's super dusty. It hasn't had water in forever. It's just chill.
Which makes it smooth and slippery.
Yeah.
Okay. And so right as they fall, Simba flips Scar off of him down a hole into the hyenas, and we all know how that ended up. And they're like, well, we did our job. Anyway, and they're like, oh no, is Timon dead? I'm like, definitely not, as we know how the movie ends, and they're narrating this.
Yeah.
I can't. And then, okay, this is what I was waiting for. Simba does a mighty, mighty roar.
Ooh, so mighty.
So what did I tell you when we were watching the original?
Lions don't really roar. That it's all tigers and I want to say panthers and mountain lion.
And a guy, and I think I told you his name was Todd.
Yes, you did.
His name was Frank.
Frank.
Frank Welker. Otherwise known as the voice of Fred from Scooby-Doo.
Oh, that's wonderful.
He did the lion roars for all 3 movies. The TV show Timon and Pumbaa, and the subsequent TV show The Lion Guard.
Wow.
It's all Frank.
Fun coincidence, like later after we watched Lion King 1 on Reddit, there was like lion cub trying to roar, and it was just that little baby just goes back.
I'm going to include the sound of a lion roaring right here. And this is the sound of a lion roar in Lion King. It's not the same. It's not even a little bit. Here's the sound of a baby lion. That was very cute. So Simba's like, I couldn't have done it without you guys. Even though he definitely didn't know they were there until the very end after the fight was done.
Yup.
Oh no, I think he's the one who tells him to dress in drag and do the hula. So he does know. So
is that where Timon goes, well, we certainly cut it that way.
Yep.
They're like, man, you guys really saved the day.
Yep. Sure fucking did. So all of the meerkats are like, he's like, well, man, I know a great place where meerkats can be chill and not scared all the time. It's called Hakuna Matata. And he gets all the meerkats to Hakuna Matata, and they're all swinging on vines and drinking vodka double wines, and I'm sorry, did I just start singing Candyman? Yes. Tarzan and Jane just swinging on a vine. Candyman drinking on a sip of vodka double wine. You're not a Christina Aguilera fan? Okay.
Nope.
So basically, all of the Meerkats can have happy,
Put all
stressful.
my eggs in that Jessica Simpson basket. It did not work out.
Oh, well, if it makes you feel better, you got exactly as much action as all of those boys who had a crush on Christina Aguilera.
There you go. Yeah, but Christina had the better career, so at least I have bragging rights over that.
Yep.
I took Mandy Moore's a second, so I am a little okay with that.
Well, you have This Is Us now.
Can't I just live happily entangled with my dream team of Mandy Moore and Zachary Levi?
I almost just sprayed my mocha across this fucking sofa.
You're not allowed to drink out of any mugs near me.
I can't. This motherfucker waits until I take the biggest gulp and then he'll say some shit. I swear he does it on purpose.
I have no idea.
Okay.
You just drink enough and I say enough random ass shit that it ends up happening.
Thank you. So it's the big happy grand finale. Everyone's chill. Yay! And it zooms out to the movie theater. And they're like, oh man, I love that story. I wish I could watch it again. And Pumbaa's like, let's do it. And he's like, we literally just watched it. And then Ma's like, they were watching the movie. Max, they were watching the movie. We're gonna watch the movie again. He's like, we just watched it. And then Simba's like, oh, we're watching the movie. And then Rafiki's like, oh, we're watching the movie. And then Mickey. And then I'm going to read the full list of the rest of the characters who come in. Mickey, Donald, Goofy, Stitch, Pocahontas, Peter Pan, Tinkerbell, the Lost Boys, Aladdin, Jasmine, the Genie, Quasimodo, Hugo, Victor, and Laverne, the gargoyles from Hunchback, Turk, Baloo, Mowgli, Snow White, all 7 of the dwarves, Lady, the Tramp, a hippo from Fantasia, Belle, the Beast, Mrs. Potts, Chip, Dumbo, Flora, Fauna, Merryweather, Brer Bear, the Mad Hatter, and the March Hare.
All silhouettes.
All silhouettes. So here's my question. Mm-hmm. I'm assuming everyone here has seen the trailer for Wreck-It Ralph.
2 or 1?
2.
Okay.
Where all of the princesses are together.
Mm-hmm.
So, did Disney, all the way in Lion King 1.5, be like, oh no, all of the Disney characters exist in the same universe in a vault together, and then they just make movies?
That feels like giving them too much credit.
Is it though?
Yes. With how I've heard they've approached everything else, yes.
They did the Disney, what's it called? It's like the Storytime Fairy Hour, and it's like 5 of the princesses sit in a room, and like, you know how like Cinderella's like, did I not tell you about that thing that happened at the castle? And they basically put 5 of the princesses in the room and were like each telling the stories to each other, and it's like Snow White and Sleeping Beauty and blah, but they're all in a room sitting and talking to each other.
Well, they also had,
and that was in like 98.
Yeah, they have the Mickey's.
Oh, House of Mouse.
Yeah.
Oh.
So like, they're established that everything's kind of in the same universe, and they're cool going back and forth for a while.
Oh my god. If in Wreck-It Ralph, they're like, man, I'm so glad we have the internet. I mean, we used to hang at House of Mouse, but it got shut down. We were all real sad. Like, if they make some kind of reference, I will be so happy.
It'll be nice.
They won't.
No. They would have to listen to this podcast.
We're available. We right here. Just shout out our podcast in the movie, and you can have this idea for free. So yeah, that's Lion King 1.5. It's cyclical. It starts all over again at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. So, favorite quote from the original.
I can't use Jimmy and Gretchen.
No, because I wanted to, and they already heard it.
Yeah. Then I'm just gonna say I don't know if it's favorite, but the most memorable for me is Pumbaa, not in front of the kids.
And oh, the shame! What's a change? What a change in my name! Oh, what's in a name? And I got downhearted. Trying to feel every time that I... Hey, Pumbaa, not in front of the kids. Oh, sorry.
Because for way longer than I should probably admit, had no idea what word he was going to say.
Farted.
Because that just wasn't a bad word.
No.
I was like, I don't understand.
And it clearly showed it.
Yeah.
It just... I think it's a very bold character trait to have one of this character's main aspects be that he farts very loud, but then also not to give him an asshole.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, they were trying to rhyme it with, like, disheartened.
Downhearted.
Downhearted. Yeah.
Every time that I farted.
Yep. So I'll say that one for the original.
I already know what my favorite was from the original because I put it in the first time and it's luau. But I would have to say it's the... And I don't know if I did this in the first one too. I'm going to have the same favorite quotes, which is... That hurt. Yeah. And now it's in the past. Can't hurt you anymore. Deal with it. Or whatever. I'm going to cut that out, obviously, and put the real quote on top of it because Fiki says it better than I do. But yeah, it's a good quote. I like it.
Okay.
And then favorite quote from the sequel is, you told my son a metaphor. He's an idiot.
So I told a boy to find Hakuna Matata. You must look beyond what you see.
Oh, a metaphor.
Well, actually, it's not a metaphor.
You used a metaphor on Timon? He takes things literally. That's it. He's starving out there. I just know it. Max Timon's out there chasing metaphors. I've got to go find him.
And the entire proposal scene to the hyena.
What are you doing?
Shenzi Marie Predatora Veldetta Jagalina Hyena, would you do me the honor of becoming my bride?
I don't think so.
Shenzi Marie, please. I know what you're thinking. We're too different. It'll never work. What will the children look like?
Oh, that violates so many laws of nature.
Listen to me. The problems of a couple of wacky kids like us don't amount to a hill of termites in this nutty circle of life thing. And so I ask you, if not now, when? If not me, who? I'm lonely.
Can I be your best man?
I think it's kind of hilarious. And also the, it's a tuna piccata. It's a spinach ricotta. I got a lambada.
Such a wonderful phrase. It had this rhythm. La dura la dada.
Try this. Hot tuna frittata.
No, that's not it.
The spinach armada.
Quiet, Pumbaa. I'm trying to think.
A spoon of ricotta.
2 words.
Hookwormy piccata.
6 syllables.
Kahuna colada.
12 letters.
A blue enchilada.
Rhymes with...
Hey, goons on a bladder.
Think.
This ought to be harder.
I forget.
I got a lambada.
Hey, how can you dance at a time like this? I'm dying here. Ooh, sorry about that, pal.
Hakuna Matata.
Come again.
Hakuna Matata. It means no worries.
That whole one.
Yeah, I gotta say, that my go-to number is 8, but I feel like 8 is an appropriate amount for how many Hakuna Matata rhymes he had.
Yeah, it was a lot, but I enjoyed it.
My question is,
Mm-hmm.
how much of it is a kid's movie? Because with all of the self-referential meta humor, with all of these jokes that, like, it's all wordplay, is it just like, oh, it's a nice shiny cartoon?
Well, that's what my mom, she always said. Like, I always preferred when you watched Disney shows or Disney movies over, like, Nickelodeon, like, over, like, other ones, because, like, there was something for the parents in there.
Yeah.
Like, there was something that we could enjoy while watching the movie. Like, it wasn't like, this is for babies, so it's only for babies.
I feel like the entire audience for Lion King 1.5 was anyone who loved Lion King 1 when it came out.
Yeah. And so I think, again, like you said, there was House of Mouse, so Disney was already not afraid to break our brains.
Yeah.
And they were just like, yeah. I think they probably wanted to do a prequel of, like, how Timon and Pumbaa met up. And then they're like, well, it kind of bleeds into the movie. So, like, fuck it. Let's just do it. Like,
yeah.
I think that's probably how it came about.
Yeah.
Because they already had the Disney Channel show, the Timon and Pumbaa.
Yep.
So yeah, I think they just were like, we kind of want to do it, but it's not enough of its own story, so let's just kind of bleed it into the movie and see how it works out.
So this is 2 in a row with me doing a third movie of a Disney movie after it had already had a TV show.
You're special.
I know.
Ding.
I really know how to pick them.
You sure do. No, and I mean, there were other ones that we could have forced you to do, but I was like, you're doing me a huge favor, so I'm going to let you do the easy one.
Yeah.
In case you were wondering what the hell he said at the end of the last episode, because I turned off recording and then asked him, what the hell did you just say? Because he said...
Bandit, bandit, bandit.
So I said, I'll see you the next time you want to do a movie. And he said, bandit, bandit, bandit. Explain?
So, Smokey and the Bandit was so popular, they started releasing made-for-TV movies. And I think there was 3 Smokey and the Bandits in theaters. And then like another 4 that were just straight to TV. One of which is the title, Bandit, Bandit, Bandit. I don't understand what the hell the title's supposed to mean. You just throw bandit in there 3 times? But that was me saying, that's the next movie. Clearly that's not how it worked out, because I didn't want to watch a lot of Smokey and the Bandits.
No, but it was very confusing to me. And I'm like, well, I'll see you around next time. And he went, bandit, bandit, bandit. And then I pressed stop and went, what the fuck?
No, it was like, we'll see you for whatever our next movie is.
Yeah.
And then I just said, that would be our next movie.
And he said it so quietly and so directly into mic. I thought he said panda, 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 like the fucking Designer song. Because he said it in like the same like rhythm and cadence. And I was so confused. But yeah, that's what he was saying at the end of last month's podcast, in case you were wondering. So we'll probably see him again. Hopefully not 3 times in a row. Just because... You know, I like to get some new voices in here. But you will be in here.
We know how busy you are between now and next month.
Oh, God, don't talk to me. But you have talked about your one friend who might be willing to do a Bring It On sequel.
Greg would love to do a Bring It On sequel.
So fingers crossed you're listening to Greg a month from now, because I've been waiting to do Bring It On Worldwide Cheer Smack since it dropped on Netflix a year ago. I have not watched it so that I could watch it for the podcast with fresh eyes. That's how much I love you guys. I've been wanting to watch Bring It On Worldwide Cheer Smack for a year. But you will probably be on again because I'm lazy and you live here.
And it's in 3 weeks.
Stop it.
I mean, I can ask Greg. And like, I'm sure Desi would love to do something too.
Yes. And Becca's going to do some more. Her husband might do some. I have, well, I don't want to get into specifics because it's still in talks. I do have some hosts of other podcasts who have agreed to be guests. We just haven't scheduled it. So look forward to that. And guesses for who you think it might be from other podcasts, who you want it to be. Let me know.
I don't have a podcast for reference.
You don't?
No.
Sklar Brothers.
I do need a list of podcasts because I don't get to watch Netflix at work anymore. So I need to learn how to put together podcasts and shit.
Do I have a list for you?
I know you do.
All right, guys. That is the belated September episode of the Stupid Sequels podcast. Follow us everywhere. And let me know what movies you want to see next. And bye.
Pew, 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 pew.
Pew, 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 pew. Thanks so much for listening to the Stupid Sequels podcast. Please subscribe and review so everyone can find us on iTunes. You can find us on Twitter at StupidSequels2 or email us at stupidsequelspodcast@gmail.com. Every episode is made possible by our sound engineer, Francis Gacod. Our logo was designed by Nicole Wiseman at Wise Shots, and you can find me online at Callie Blair on Twitter and pretty much everywhere else. And remember, even though these movies are stupid, deep down, we really love them.